Hello and happy Thursday. It is digital host A.J. Wuest welcoming you back to Before the Four, where today I'll take you through some of 48's top news stories. We'll talk about the weather with Chief Meteorologist Brad Travis, stories in case you missed them, stories you're just not going to want to miss, and of course, Facebook fun. It is already October 3rd. Can you all believe it? Which means we are edging closer to Halloween. So our 48 Facebook question of the day is, what is your favorite Halloween candy? A lot to choose from, that is definitely for sure. I think I like just about every Halloween candy there ever was. But make sure to stick around for the end of today's Before the Four because, I'm ready to shout out what you all had to say. But until then, let's now jump into some of today's top stories. And starting things off in Decatur, the Decatur Fire College has reopened after a controversial video involving fire recruits was leaked. Fire Chief Tracy Thornton said the Alabama Fire College conducted an on-site investigation after the leak. Now, officials said they determined there were no major violations by Decatur Fire and Rescue. They did say, however, a few minor changes were discovered that needed to be made, and these were addressed immediately. Decatur's current recruit class was allowed to resume yesterday under normal operations. Now, on September 27th, recruits were sent home after this video was released. Thornton previously released a statement about the video on Tuesday. Now, the video shows trainees and supervisors role-playing a rescue in a bathroom during a staged drill. Thornton says the video was taken earlier this year and is not the current recruiting class that was sent home on Friday. Now, the chief said the video was taken during a drill to show recruits that they have to respond to emergency calls with odd circumstances. And now another story in section, a man accused of breaking into homes and assaulting multiple victims with a hammer is behind bars. Now, officials said this today. According to the Jackson County Sheriff's Office, deputies and officers with the Section Police Department responded to Tammy Little Drive yesterday for a man who allegedly entered multiple homes and assaulted victims with a hammer. Deputies say the suspect allegedly forced entry into two residences and assaulted two victims and a dog with the hammer during those attacks. Section police officers arrived at the scene, and officials say they confronted the male suspect inside the residence who was still armed with the hammer. The suspect was then tased by an officer and taken into custody. Authorities said the two victims were transported to Highlands Hospital. 34-year-old Ralph Steed, that is who you see on screen, was arrested and charged with 2 counts of attempted murder, 2 counts of burglary, attempted assault, resisting arrest, and cruelty to animals. Steed is being held in the Jackson County Jail without bond. And now let's talk a bit about the weather as we head into the weekend. We have 48 First Alert Chief Meteorologist Brad Travis with your latest forecast. Brad?
A real warm day out there today, AJ. We're going to make a run at 90 degrees in some areas by Sunday, and that's going to be followed by a cold front just in time on Monday. So no rain today. We do expect some isolated showers and maybe a thunder shower out there as we go through tomorrow afternoon, being Friday and all. Here's a live look at the Parkway, 84 degrees. Traffic's in pretty good shape, but the commute is just beginning this Thursday afternoon. 87 right now in Athens, 85 in Muscle Shoals, 80s everywhere, above normal, and this trend continues right on into the weekend. A few isolated showers and thunder showers tomorrow, but we're going with 30% now with that chance. We're going to go hour by hour through that coming up at 4, 5, and 6. Here's a look at today's drought monitor. A big improvement over last week, and that's all due to Helene, the moisture from that, so some good news out of that. But still severe drought conditions and moderate drought conditions across parts of northeast Alabama up into southern middle Tennessee. Tropics, they're active way out in the Atlantic. These are storms for shipping industry and the fish, basically we call that. It's a major hurricane, Kirk, but that's headed north. farther into the Atlantic. As far as the outlook here for the Hurricane Center, over the next 7 days, any development will be slow, and they've given the odds now downgraded that to 30%. Here's what's likely going to happen. The cold front that's coming in here Monday is going to push a lot of this moisture into Florida. So even though we may not get a named tropical system, there's a lot of rain headed down into Florida, most of which will be from Orlando and Tampa down to the south. And for some areas, that may actually end up being some beneficial rain for some of the rural areas, the Everglades down there. But here's our 10-day forecast. After we get past tomorrow and the heat over the weekend, we have really nice weather. 77 Tuesday, 76 Wednesday, morning lows, maybe even some mid-40s out there. So my kind of weather coming next week, AJ.
Well, thank you, Brad. Sounds like my kind of weather as well. But now another story. A Huntsville nonprofit is in North Carolina today helping the victims of Hurricane Helene. Now, Chief Operating Officer of Shower Up Huntsville, Taylor Reed, said the nonprofit that serves those experiencing homelessness sprung into action to head out to Asheville and help those impacted by Helene receive necessary resources. Reed said the nonprofit usually operates daily for those without water due to homelessness. However, they were compelled to assist in North Carolina as many of the people have been without running water and power since the hurricane hit nearly a week ago.
People are really getting desperate at this point. Water is hard to come by here in North Carolina. It's crazy to believe, we're in the United States and people can't get fresh, clean water. We just purchased a water tanker last night that came in, and we used that water showering all of these people, washing so many loads of laundry. We had to purchase another water tanker this morning, and we actually used the donations from those folks right there in Huntsville who've been, donating to us to buy that tanker.
Awesome stuff there. And now let's head into some of the stories in case you missed them. Yesterday, the city of Huntsville announced it is shutting down a homeless camp on Derrick Street after a fire broke out just a few weeks ago. 48's Callie Neese with more.
It's a little of everything. I mean, it's certainly drugs, but there's also some other issues.
Bugs, trash, and filth everywhere. This is the camp dozens of people are calling home. Scott Irwin, the director of community development in Huntsville, says it's simply unlivable.
When we look at the condition, we realize that this is not a safe condition for anyone to be in, either temporary or long term.
The city is working with 30 organizations called the Continuum of Care to support those living here. First Stop is a day shelter just down the street from the camp, and they help out every day. Chad Rodriguez says the people who live here need all the support that they can get.
I think one of our key roles is to give our clients dignity and hope, and by showing that we're here and supporting them just like we always do, we go a long way towards that.
Wellstone Inc. is offering mental health care. Wellstone's Karen Peterson says their goal is to help the people in this camp transition during this tough time.
But we don't turn anyone away due to a lack of resources. For this particular population, if they are in mental health crisis or substance use crisis, they have somewhere to go and somewhere to get the care they need.
All the people living here will be relocated just down the street until this camp can be cleaned up.
Our first and foremost, our role is to make sure that those individuals in the camp, their health and safety is monitored, that we understand what we're doing, and we connect them with some circumstances, some resource.
Well, thank you, Callie. Now let's head over to Morgan County, where many in jails are still awaiting a mental health evaluation. 48's Nick Ballinger with the story.
Here is where accused killer Brian Martin has been sitting for the past 3 years. 3 years, no verdict, no justice. In April of 2022, Martin entered a plea of not guilty by mental defect. He received his first mental evaluation then and is now waiting on a second after prosecutors and defense agreed it was warranted.
There's a number of reasons for the delays. Shortage of staffing and over demand for the state is certainly, probably front and center of that.
Local defense attorney Larry Marsili, who does not represent Martin, knows the mental evaluation system well. He recently filed a plea of not guilty by reason of mental defect for his client Juan Laws, accused of killing a Huntsville police officer and injuring another. He expects a wait on that evaluation as well.
I've been told to expect about a 1.5-year delay on one of them.
Why? There's only one facility in the entire state conducting these evaluations. At last check, Martin was 92nd on the list for mental evaluations at the Department of Mental Health facility in Tuscaloosa.
For the defense attorney to ask for it, we're supposed to have a reasonable basis for belief. So I, for one, I don't just file them in every single case.
Well, thank you, Nick. Now in Madison, about 75% of Madison City employees will receive a raise. Now, if you work in Madison, I know your ears are certainly perking up at this one. Madison Mayor Paul Finley said the raises are intended to keep good workers from leaving work for other cities. Some workers will receive a 2% raise, while others could see as much as a 20% raise. 48 Sarah Grace Kennedy recently spoke with Mayor Finley. Take a listen to what he had to say on the raises.
We want to take care of those who have been here a while, but we also want to be ready to hire the new and folks that can help us make a difference. So what this allows us to do is make sure that when we have positions to fill, we're competitive, and then we use our normal process to get the best possible folks.
Certainly very good news for Madison, that is for sure. Now out in the Shoals, yesterday marked 3 years since Sheffield Police Sergeant Nick Reisner lost his life while serving in the line of duty. 48's Aria Pons with more.
15 minutes. That was the difference between Emma Gregory sitting here before you today or not. 15 minutes and one Sheffield sergeant who was just on his way home.
He was actually on his way home, but what was special about this was that he got off work 15 minutes early, which was very odd. Police officers don't get off work early.
Gregory was 18 years old on the day she went to a bridge planning to end her life. Sergeant Nick Reisner was driving home, spotted her, and pulled her back from the brink. He stayed in her life afterward, always there when she needed him.
He really became like a father figure to me, though. It turned into, this is the person that I call about all the sad things, to like, this is the person I call about everything.
But on October 1st, 2021, everything changed.
She said, "Your friend's been shot."
At first, Gregory says she was in denial.
And I immediately said, "Oh, but Nick is my superhero, and superheroes don't die. So, there's no way he's gonna die. He has more people to save. This can't happen."
The next day, Reisner sadly passed away due to his injuries.
I lost all feeling in my body. I fell to the floor. I was sobbing. I was screaming. It's like my whole world shattered.
Gregory says she will never forget what Reisner did and what he taught her to help people in need. In fact, to honor Reisner and to help people, Gregory created a nonprofit meant to aid people who need resources for mental health help. The name is a nod to Reisner, the 15-Minute Project.
I think that I had to go through what I went through to be able to tell people that. To be able to tell people that they are cared about and they are loved and they matter and they deserve to keep going one more day.
Thank you, Aria. He will certainly be remembered as a hero. But now in Albertville, weeks after a high school student allegedly stole a gun and brought it to football practice, hours later, a judge has denied him bond. However, his attorney claims he's facing an ethnic bias. 48 Savannah Sapp with the latest.
The 16-year-old Albertville student accused of stealing a gun in Arab and bringing it to campus hours later will remain in jail among adult inmates until further notice. Giovanni Jean-Pierre was denied bond last week during an Anaya's Law hearing before Judge Mitch Floyd. His attorney, Richard Rice, says his client's case has garnered unwarranted negative attention after the news conference organized by Albertville city officials and the district attorney.
To basically, I would say, try to convict him in the court of public opinion was really not, the best day for our profession as lawyers, I would say.
Jean-Pierre is charged with armed robbery after stealing a gun from a man in Arab, but Rice says that's not necessarily the case. He says Jean-Pierre was at a social gathering when he was given the firearm willingly before an argument broke out between other people there. Before these charges, Rice says the teen has always been a model student with no prior instances of violent behavior.
This is somebody, like I said, who's as active in extracurricular activities, various sports, 2.8 GPA, expressed interest in becoming an engineer, and even joining the military.
Rice believes that the city's recent controversy over an influx of Haitian migrants has caused his client to receive unwarranted backlash. It's worth noting that Jean-Pierre's parents are immigrants, but have lived in the area for years now.
But when you add in these other factors of xenophobia and prejudice and bias, I think those things have really put us in a position now where we really can't unring the bell of what has been publicized about this young man.
Well, thank you, Savannah. Now let's talk about a few things to do this weekend here in North Alabama. A comedy show, a plethora of free music made right here in North Alabama, and of course, a show for the little ones. Let's first talk about that comedy show. Actor, comedian, and Saturday Night Live star Chris Kattan is coming to Huntsville's Levity Live this weekend. Take a listen to some advice he gave to those looking to make it in the entertainment industry. For anyone who might be watching, looking to break into the comedy or the TV film industry, what is some advice you'd give to them?
Try to find something unique about yourself that makes you different than other people. And if it's similar, try to find a way of making it not similar. So that way you draw more eyeballs to show that you could do a lot more than what people might assume you can do. And now that we have, like you mentioned, TikTok, I guess you got to do it pretty quickly because there's not much time in a TikTok video. Yeah, I would say, yeah, that's what I would say.
Sure. Without a doubt, great advice there. And another thing going on this weekend, especially for your little ones, Paw Patrol Live Heroes Unite is coming to the Mark C. Smith Concert Hall. That is at the Von Braun Center, of course. Take a listen to what spokesperson Dante Bratelli had to say about this weekend's performance.
Absolutely. Paw Patrol Live Heroes Unite follows Ryder and the Paw Patrol as they face their greatest challenge yet. It's Top Heroes Day, and RoboDog is making his stage debut. But when Mayor Humdinger clones RoboDog, chaos ensues across the world. So it's up to Ryder and the Paw Patrol to stop Mayor Humdinger, rescue RoboDog, and learn what it means to be a top hero.
Sounds like an exciting journey, that is for sure. Definitely an awesome event to take the kiddos to, and they can get up, they're encouraged to get up, sing and dance along with the characters. But awesome event going on this weekend at the Mark C. Smith Concert Hall. And finally, the last event I have for you all on what to do this weekend would of course be the 65th birthday celebration of Fame Recording Studios. The Sounds of the Shoals are coming to Huntsville. You can find more details on that event on our website. Just go to WAFF.com. You'll go to digital shows and finally 48 Now. But now in a little state news, down in Tuscaloosa, Habitat for Humanity is building homes to honor Nick and Terry Sabin. Take a listen.
Habitat for Humanity Tuscaloosa is building two houses. One honors Nick Sabin and the other recognizes Miss Terry Sabin. The Sabins, through Nick's Kids Foundation, have helped build 21 Habitat homes in Tuscaloosa since the April 27th tornado of 2011 struck Tuscaloosa. The house being built in honor of Miss Terry Sabin is a women's build. That means women are doing most of the construction work. We were there while volunteers raised the frame for that house. Organizers feel a women's build empowers other women by showing what they can accomplish. We spoke to the woman who will be moving into the home that honors Terry Sabin once it's finished.
I'm at a loss for words, actually. I'm honored because I know the Sabins have done a lot, for Habitat over the course of the years. So for me to be, I guess, a single parent and doing all my hours by myself, I feel like it's what perfect person for the women to be able to be for.
Habitat hopes to have both homes completed by November 26th for a dual dedication ceremony. They're still in need of some volunteers to be able to work on the women's build home. If you're interested in helping out, go to the WBRC News app. We've got a link to Habitat for Humanity Tuscaloosa. Your reporter in Tuscaloosa, I'm Kelvin Reynolds, WBRC, 6 News on your side.
Well, thank you, Kelvin. Awesome event there. Now, a story I found earlier today. Nibby, the famous Massachusetts beaver, lives to see another day in the care of her rescuer. This after the state's wildlife agency told the refuge it would take possession of the rodent earlier this week. The move sparked outrage among animal advocates and people from all over who had become fans of Nibby, fearing her release into the wild would put her in danger. Oscar Margain tells us a number of people called their state representatives, and even the governor got word of what was going on. Take a look.
Mass Wildlife did email me this morning. They said they are delayed and they are not planning on taking Nibby today.
Jay Newhouse is breathing a sigh of relief. Nibby, the beaver she rescued 2 years ago and nurtured at her wildlife center, will not be taken away by the state for now.
Hopefully this will work out.
She says she initially reached out to Mass Wildlife in July asking if Nibby could be classified as an educational animal. But Mass Wildlife claims it told Jane back in June that Nibby had to be released.
I heard nothing until a few days ago. I heard nothing, and now it's, we gotta release her.
The news that Nibby could end up in the wild on its own during the winter months did not sit well with many of Jane's online followers, who then began contacting the representatives to do something.
There have been a significant outpouring of concerns and support for this, and that's why I'm here.
As others turned to the governor for help.
We're getting close to Thanksgiving, right? Maybe she can pardon the beaver instead of a turkey.
I heard about that, and I said, no, we're going to pause on that and evaluate what's best for Nibby.
At the same time, Jane was taking the fight to court, where on Tuesday afternoon the injunction hearing was postponed, giving Jane and Nibby more time to sort things out.
Releasing a wild animal that has been in captivity for such a great length of time may not have the survival skills.
Thank you, Oscar. Now it is time for the good side, and today you can call it the sweet side. Who doesn't love ice cream? Now imagine it with a topping of independence and community. Local News Live's correspondent Madison Bickley takes us to Kansas and introduces us to the Scoop Troop.
The Woolly Farms Foundation Scoop Troop provides adults with intellectual and developmental disabilities a way to dip into meaningful employment.
They're not any different than any of the rest of us. It's really just promoting that opportunity that they work hard. There's not a whole lot of extra special things you need sometimes, but there's a way to adapt things and make things accessible for everybody.
Cookie crumbles and chocolate syrup are nothing compared to the love and sense of community that's sprinkled on top.
You get to see them be them. And they don't always get to do that. There's always rules, there's always regulations, and sometimes our friends don't get to just go out and do things on their own. Unfortunately, the world is just kind of crazy sometimes. So this is a safe space so they can come out and be themselves and talk to people. It's just so much for them to get out and be themselves a lot more and allow to share their excitement about life and everything like that.
Troop members say the value of their work is simple.
I think it's awesome. I think it's great, because people get to know more about people that have a disability like I do.
My friends, I take care of staff, my friends, my coworkers, my teachers.
As for the question on everyone's mind, what's your favorite type of ice cream?
Cheesecake. Chocolate.
Vanilla.
While they enjoyed the frozen treats, the team at Schwerk Design Group said their favorite part was the smiles served with it.
Getting out in the community is such a big part of their life.
and socializing and things. And anytime we can provide that opportunity, I think it's great for not only for them, but for our staff as well.
Awesome story there. Now let's head into the stories you're just not going to want to miss in our evening newscasts. A youth baseball tournament in Florence that brought in millions of dollars. Get the details on that story. Another story you're just not going to want to miss, the latest on the shipping delays and how this affects retailers. And finally, a guide to living healthier for longer. These are just a few of the stories you're just not going to want to miss in our evening newscasts. And now it is that time you all have waited very patiently. It is time for Facebook Fun. Now, what is your favorite Halloween candy? That is what I want to know. Let's see what you all had to say. Brosha said caramel apple suckers. Those are very good. I also love those caramel apples that you can get in the grocery stores right now. On my way back home later on, I might have to go and grab one. Brosha, you reminded me. Those are incredible. Thank you so much for commenting. Let's see. Tammy said, back when I was a kid, a lady on the mountain used to make homemade popcorn balls. If you didn't go to her house first, you may not get one. They were so yummy. Absolutely. Gotta love some popcorn balls. And yes, absolutely. Very awesome comment there. Tammy, thank you so much. And Brianna said Reese's Pumpkins, and that was the popular comment today. A lot of people said Reese's Pumpkins, and I can't blame them because they are just so delicious. But Brianna, thank you for commenting. That is just about it for today's Before the Four. Make sure you stick around tonight for 7:20 and catch the 48 Blitz preview show along with Beyond the Lights Athens. That will stream wherever you're watching Before the Four right now. And that is just about it for today's Before the Four. But of course, I want to thank you for watching. You all have a great night.